looks like a decrease.
Okay, thank you. Minister Bennett, I was pleased to see a strong endorsement for financial transparency and accountability in the report for plans and priorities. The report states transparent and accountable institutions and organizations strengthen the fabric of Indigenous governments across Canada, assisting Indigenous communities and their governments in attracting investment and supporting Indigenous participation in the Canadian economy. If this is the case, why did you instruct your department to stop enforcing the First Nations Transparency Act? It seems counterproductive.
Thanks for the question. All First Nations have to submit audited statements to our department, and the practice is that they all share those statements with their members in their communities. If any member has trouble getting that information, that they can approach our office. The problem with the way the previous bill was written is that it included businesses that were band operated, and that led to the potential of predatory practices from competitors to actually know how much you're paying your engineer or all of those things. So we in the Kelowna Court, there was a First Nations Auditor General. I think that everybody wants to work on better approaches to transparency and accountability, and through the First Nations Financial Management Board and other institutions, I think we're moving well on
Thank you.
ensuring the transparency and accountability.
I'm also like a little bit alarmed by the target of 75% compliance for First Nation communities. Our government had aimed for 100% compliance, and we had a compliance rate of over 90%. So could you just comment on why the lowering of the target when actual compliance was higher than your target?
Yeah, maybe. The target was the same. The achievement was above the target last year, you're quite right, and we expect that the achievement will be the same this year, or roughly the same. The target was set in such a way that it got exceeded.
Okay. I have 14 First Nations in my riding, and I've made it my task to visit all of them. I meet with several of the band leaders, but I also generally drive around the reserves and talk to anybody who happens to be there that's interested in talking with me. And one of the things that I ask about is our Transparency Act, and was that effective? And the thing that I said, well, I give your example, anybody that's interested in these things is able to get them. And they say, well, that's an interesting, but on the ground, it's a completely different story. If you ask for the information, the Band Council holds a great deal of power over your life, and things will happen in your own life just for asking the wrong question. So I was just wondering if you're aware of this situation or not.
I've heard the odd anecdote that reflects that practice, but I think coast to coast where I've been, that First Nations have posted their statements on a website that's just password protected for their members. I think there are always outliers on these in these sorts of situations, but these are democratically elected chief and council, and if people don't like their practices, they can vote them out.
Thank you both very much for that. Next.